Hello and welcome to EPG Pathshala's course on mental health. We are here reviewing a module on stigma and mental health, and I'm very excited about it. There's a lot that we're going to talk about today. My name is Rosanna, and I work with Khula Asman Trust here in Bombay. And we work with a lot of populations in distress, including rescue homes and women who live there, special homes, young kids who live in observation and remand homes, and also prison populations, open communities as well. And a lot of times in our work, we do come across stigma, and that's what I'm here to talk to you about today. The course objectives, let's go through them. We are going to be unpacking our own beliefs and ideas around mental health. We're going to look at what is stigmatic in our own minds and in our own thoughts. I'm going to introduce you to the concept of stigma. We will understand what it is, how it functions in our society, and we're going to look at its impact. We're going to see what stigma does to the people around us and the people who live with us. And we're also going to find out how we are going to address stigma in our jobs and our lives and where we work and live. We're going to look at how we can reduce the impact of stigma on persons living with mental illness. And with that, let's begin. So I want you to do a small exercise. I want you to take a piece of paper in front of you, maybe draw a stick figure. And I want you to listen to what I'm saying and put down the thoughts that come to your mind. Are you ready? Paper in place, pencil in place. The words I'm going to say are mental illness. What is it that comes to your mind when you hear the words mental illness? I really want you to think about it, write it down. A lot of times in my work with people, institutions, students even, some of the words that I hear are disheveled, lazy, not sound of mind, depressed, angry, violent, bored, not there, unemployed. These are some of the ideas that the general population has about mental health. I would like to know what you see written on your list. What is it that is in your mind about this concept of mental illness? There are some questions I'm going to ask you now. What image is created by all of these words that you have put down? Is it an image of strength, or is it an image of weakness? Is it something positive or something that leaves you feeling restless, incomplete, unhappy even? Do these words highlight capacity? Do they highlight strength? Do they highlight resilience? What is it that is being conveyed by these words that you have written? Do you think these ideas promote diversity? Or does it promote a certain idea, a certain kind, a certain type? And how would these ideas impact your work as a facilitator or a social worker or a therapy practitioner? Be very honest. This is probably a point that we could pause at and maybe change how we look at other people, and then change the work that we do and change the communities and people that come in contact with us. So be very honest. And since no one's going to see your answers, it's not going to really matter what you write down to anyone else besides yourself. So with that image in place, the image that we have created with our own thoughts, I want to move to the next part of this course and module, which is what is stigma. So the Oxford Dictionary says that stigma is a mark of disgrace associated with a particular circumstance, quality, or person. I want to highlight the words a mark of disgrace. What does that tell us? That tells us so much, that disgrace meaning someone is being shunned, someone is not good enough, right? A mark of disgrace associated with a particular circumstance, quality, or person. And in this definition, you see something that is not good, something that is not worthy of being owned, and something that is moved away from what is normal. moved away from what is a big thing, it is broken off and kept into a corner. And what is this big thing? This big thing is our society. And in this word and in this line, we are removing a chunk of what is society and moving it into a corner in disgrace. It's a big and a heavy thing, isn't it? What does stigma do? It sets people, like I said, away from what is norm, what is the norm or what is normal. But who decides what is normal? And does normal include everyone in our society? It's an interesting questions, right? Have we thought of them before? Normal is defined by people, by the society, by the stronger and the dominant voices. It is not a representation of everybody who makes up a part of the society, right? For instance, people think women should have long hair, and anyone who doesn't have long hair is not a part of the norm. But what about someone who really does not like having long hair? This is a very simple example, but just to help us understand what stigma does. If I believe that women should only have long hair, and I go out and I see someone with a very short cut, I'm going to have a lot of ideas about her because I've associated goodness and a good girl with the length of her hair. And these are some things that we internalize as we grow up, in the sense we hear it when we are young and we grow up hearing the same thing over and over again. And it becomes a part of our thought process and our psyche and our speech, and it keeps getting promoted, the same idea, by the same kinds of people. It's not bad, but just something to be aware of. So what are some kinds of stigmatic thoughts that would be involved with persons living with mental illness or mental health and mental illness? Let's just review. I've made a short list, so just let's look at it. First one, mental illness impacts only few people. Few people. They must have done something wrong. That is the idea. That is a stigmatic phrase. Mentally ill people are dangerous. That also promotes more stigma about mentally ill people. People with a mental illness, they never get better. Forever sick. Another stigmatic phrase. Why are you always like that? When we ask people this question, it is also stigmatic. And we look at how later, but let's just hear the kind of words and phrases that I'm talking about. तो कुछ काम की नहीं है. Extremely heavy statement to make, but we make it. People with a mental illness, they belong in a hospital. They cannot be here with us. They have to be away. People with mental illness, they cannot keep jobs. How will they be employed? They cannot be employed. People with mental illness are not educated. I will not work with him. Pagal hai kya? If you look at this list, a lot of these things, some of us may have said, and I know I've been guilty of saying them sometimes as well. Whenever something is happening, the first thing is like, pagal hai kya? Are you mad or what? What are we actually saying when we say that sentence? We are saying that you are not good. You are not good enough. And we are associating that not being good or doing something foolish or doing something that is not normal with madness, and thereby with persons living with mental illness. So we are making a very long and slightly tangential connection here. That people with mental illness, if they are mad, then they have to be like this. They won't know what they are doing. They can't complete their work. They don't understand. So things like that. Those are kind of stigmatic phrases that we use in our everyday life and that we hear in our everyday life while traveling, in the bus, in places that we work, we study, with people that we grow up with. These are very common phrases, and there may be more that you know. Make a list of them so you are aware. Now let's look at the types of stigma. So one sort of stigma is social stigma, which you can imagine to be like waves. Just imagine waves that the society is giving out. And if I am a person with mental illness, those waves will come and put a lot of pressure on me. So what is social stigma? It is characterized by prejudicial attitudes and discriminating behavior directed towards individuals with mental health problems as a result of the psychiatric label they have been given. Lot of words, let me break it down. Take for instance a mental disorder, any mental illness or disorder that you've heard of, say schizophrenia. Everyone uses that word nowadays. Say someone has been coming to school with you or coming to work with you. Every day you've been meeting this person day in, day out. And yeah, sometimes this person is very withdrawn, doesn't talk, sits in a corner maybe. Sometimes maybe this person cries. And one day someone says schizophrenia, madness, mental illness. Immediately what will happen is the way you look at that person will change. All of those stereotypes that you had, na, mad ka matlab this, mad is equal to this, mental illness is equal to this, all of that will come up and it will be like you wore different glasses to look at this person. And those glasses are stigma. Because now you're saying, okay, now schizophrenia means can't do this, can't do that, how will I work with him? Dangerous slightly. So all of these ideas become a part of the social stigma, stigma that comes from outside, inwards and onto a person living with mental illness. There is another type of stigma which is equally challenging to work with, and that is called self-stigma. Let me read the definition first. The absorption of negative attitudes that impact self-esteem and confidence. Absorption means what? Means these waves that came now, somewhere I have taken them into my body and now I believe it because the belief is here as a part of my being that because I am mentally ill, maybe I can never work again, or maybe I can never be in a relationship. Persons with mental illness, what is the point of getting up tomorrow? It will be the same day, nothing new about it. I have to take medications for the rest of my life. My life will not change, it is over. These are the kind of thoughts that come up from our own mind and they stop us from moving forward. With persons living with mental illness, when these thoughts come up, it really stops them from recovering because it will stop them from trying to get a job. It will stop them from being a part of society, from exploring different avenues. And maybe a 9-to-5 job is not meant for everyone. Maybe there's some other strength that this person has, but because it is so stuck in my head that I'm not going to be able to do anything, I don't ever go out and search for it or find it or create it. I've started to talk a little bit about the impact of stigma and what it does to people. Someone living with mental illness is living with a lot of things that are happening within them, in their minds, in their hearts. They are experiencing emotions differently. They are experiencing situations, events, relationships in a different way than before they started to feel these or experience these disturbances or differences in their behavior and thoughts and emotions. That is a challenge. It's like someone has suddenly pulled a rug out from under you. You can't find your feet. Aside from that, they have been told that there is something wrong with you, and they can also maybe feel that something is not like what it was before. Then their stereotypes start coming up about what does it mean. So I'm experiencing distress because of what is happening to me right now, my actual experiences. Second, the waves of stigma from society and what that means to me also impact me, make it more difficult for me to move ahead. And then the stigma that I put on myself makes it even harder to move up, move out and move into a different direction. Let me explain it to you this way. A lot of times we think, "Dawaiyan chalu hai to chalega." He's taking medication now, what more can be expected? But that medication will never be impactful if this person is not able to feel content and integrated. If this person is not able to experience a holistic and happy and joyous existence where they feel that they can cope with what is going on, where they feel resilience building in their bodies, where they feel a lot of peace socially, emotionally, physically, spiritually and mentally, which is one of the definitions of health, that we hear about a lot. If these things are not in place, if this person does not feel valued as making a contribution to society, as having these relationships with themselves and the other and society in place, the medication is never going to be enough. Never going to be enough to make someone feel like a whole. And what does stigma do? It gets in the way of accessing these other things. Either if I go to get a job, people at the job place will tell me, no, but you don't, no, something is little wrong. No, this is not the place for you. Go somewhere else. So my opportunities are diminished. People don't want to associate with me. I'm hearing this a lot at home, a lot of negative things at home. Plus my own self-stigma makes it very difficult to move out, move on and move forward. Stigma deters treatment also. People experiencing a problem often do not want to acknowledge it, because what will it mean if I say, okay, I think I need to see a doctor or a mental health professional, or I need to talk to somebody, however that help is. If I feel like I have an illness, I would not want to access it because I would be afraid because of the stigma attached with mental illness. So it would stop me from seeking treatment. That is at the individual level. Now imagine a family. The family will say, oh my God, we don't want people to know that this is happening in the house. So they will try to keep it secret. They will not access help. And if they have accessed help, they will never recommend to someone else that, you know, if you're experiencing this, you can do this, or you can do that, or you can reach out to this person, because of the stigma of mental illness. And then if the families are not talking about it and the communities are not talking about it, at a larger level, the government and other private sectors that would otherwise have invested in working on this issue would not be doing it. And that's how stigma can have macro level implications for people as well. I like to think of stigma as a black veil, as something that's covering your face and you can't really see the truth or reality because of this veil. And this veil is made up of what? A lot of assumptions, a lot of myths, things that we have heard, things that get reinforced in media, stereotypes that we see when we're watching movies, comic representations of persons with mental illness, certain news articles that portray persons with mental illness in a particular way, in a particular light, and hearing a lot of negative stories. And the largest part of this black veil is fear. Fear of what is this? What if it happens to me? What to do? These are all the things that make up the black veil of stigma. Let's look at what stigma is like as an experience to persons living with mental illness now. Shame, blame and secrecy. And this is something that I've mentioned a little bit. But what does it really mean? Being diagnosed as a person living with mental illness means that there is a lot of shame that I feel and that my family feels and that society will put onto my family. I have heard people say things like, what were his parents doing? Or, you know, because she must have done something wrong. She used to always listen to the wrong kind of music. And people say these things. So there is shame because there is the idea that I have brought this on myself, or my family is responsible for what happened. Then there is blame, which again I'm talking about the family's fault, my fault, these ideas. And because of the shame and the blame, people want to hide this. I won't want to talk about it. My family won't want to talk about it. So the shame, the blame, the secrecy. And when I don't want to talk about it, no one can tell me what it is. So if I don't know, I will never know because I'm not talking about it. So lack of awareness keeps on propagating, and that leads to a whole lot more of blame, because when I'm not aware of what the real reasons are, there are people always willing to tell me other reasons, right? The next thing that we would talk about is the black sheep of the family. A lot of people say that, means this is the outcast in my family. And that experience is really difficult because these are the people that you've grown up with and your primary support system. And now you are experiencing being shunned by your family, and within yourself also you look at yourself as being different, the odd one out, the black sheep. There's something wrong. Another thing that stigma would do is create the experience of an us versus them. Meaning, When we talk about persons with mental illness, we will say they, and they hear that they. As a group, it becomes them and us, we being away from this group of normal societal individuals. Isolation, all of these things that I'm talking about, doesn't it give you the image of someone being very lonely, very lost, very apart? And that isolation is an experience that people live with on a daily basis because of stigma. It goes further, this isolation, it goes into social exclusion, where people do not have access to various citizenship rights that you and I would have access to. No voting rights, cannot hold property, cannot legally get married. All of these would be extremely traumatic. So how does stigma spread? And I talked earlier about how we grow up hearing these things, but where do they come from and who is saying these things? So there is a lot of misrepresentation in media, a lot of stereotypes that we keep watching, and a lot of time it is done to bring humor into a situation, but it is also promoting a particular stereotype that mentally ill people are disheveled, don't dress well, have no sense of what is going on, are to be mocked and ridiculed. Also, there is just no awareness because people don't talk about it. People don't want to talk about mental illness. They don't want to share their experiences because it is very difficult to be able to stand up in a room of peers or other people and say, this is my experience and I have been living with mental illness for these many years. And it's extremely difficult to stand up to people, even your closest people, and make that declaration. Because we are not able to talk about it, there is no awareness about it. And because there is no awareness about this issue, it just keeps going on in a cyclic manner, getting bigger and larger with more myths, more stereotypes, and more assumptions about mental illness. There aren't any, there aren't any campaigns that are active, that are constant, that continue to talk about mental health, to talk about what keeps people healthy versus what keeps people ill. These things don't happen. They happen on World Mental Health Day and then they die down, and then again next year again around World Mental Health Day more people will start talking, again it will die down. But there is no sustained state-sponsored awareness campaigns, drives, public service announcements. Even if you go to a hospital, you won't get any. You usually get pamphlets about diabetes, pamphlets about blood pressure and this and that, but you won't get one about mental health so easily. They are not so available, and all of these things go a long way into creating a lack of awareness. Also, there is a lot of inconsistent, incorrect information that is passed down, like I spoke about this, because of the fear, because we don't know what this is. We hear and then we spill the same kind of things that we are hearing that may not even be real. And most importantly, I feel that there is no focus on the positive stories, the stories of empowerment, the stories where someone with a diagnosis, with the label of mental illness, has achieved something tremendous and achieved anything at all. We don't talk about those stories, and those stories are never shown in media. Of course, now we have, with Deepika Padukone talking about her experiences, we have more activists coming up, but it's still a small section of society. It's not a widely publicized part of our narratives. It's a lack of awareness about mental health and mental illness and the perpetuation of stigma. So what are some of the challenges that will be caused due to stigma? So what are some of the challenges for persons living with mental illness that are caused because of stigma? Let's just recap it. Let's go through all of it, put it down in a concise manner. It's more hard to get jobs, to be employed. There is a lot of social rejection. Persons with living with mental illness experience high rates of abandonment. Lack of living options, because no one's going to rent a place to someone living with mental illness. Your citizenship rights are often denied to you, and the biggest challenge is learning to live with the internalization of the stigma. And how do we address this? What can we do as practitioners in this field? Learn to move beyond the biomedical framework, learn to move beyond understanding illness only and treatment only in terms of a transaction of medication. Look at the way that we counsel people, the way that we talk to people. Are they non-hierarchical? Are we promoting equality in the way that we speak? Are we adopting person-centered approaches that are strength building and capacity building? How about looking at what is right here and right now? What can I see that this person really needs help with? Versus looking at only a diagnosis. The language that we use, the terminology that we use, us, them, mentally ill, pagal. Do we want to keep using those words, knowing what they represent? Disclosure as a choice. I think this is something that is extremely important that we need to adopt in our work, which is empowering the people that we work with to understand where they are, who they are, and to empower them to make a declaration in the right spaces where it is necessary to be able to say that I'm living with mental illness and this is my story. That kind of disclosure, I think, will generate so many more positive stories, will generate so much more self-esteem, so much more strength within a group of people. We also need to generate more awareness building campaigns and build a lot of stories, positive stories and narratives highlighting the triumphs and accomplishments of persons living with mental illness. As a takeaway for this course, I would really invite you to do a couple of things. Read about stories from within the peer, the consumer, the survivor or ex-patient movements, people who have survived psychiatry, who have lived with the biomedical approach and have done something different. Read about Patricia Deegan and her work. Read about Reshma Valiappan, who does wonderful work in our own country, and so many other fantastic mental health advocates. And I'll leave you with this one quote. Read it and absorb it. Thank you.